When the 16-bit era began, it was time for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to evolve to such a phase. The first game of such era was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4: Turtles in Time. Originally released in 1991 worldwide as an arcade game, and later in 1992 on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Turtles in Time was also remade for the Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network as reshelled and released in 2009. This game was titled on the Super NES as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4: Turtles in Time, and it is one of the best TMNT games ever created by Konami. However, when you play it, you must beat it in the harder difficulty in order to achieve a better ending. It will require practice, precision, and above all, patience. The Turtles are at home watching the Channel 6 News, where April O'Neil is reporting live from Liberty Island, until suddenly Krang appears flying in a giant exosuit and steals the Statue of Liberty. Then Shredder hijacks the airwaves to taunt the Turtles. Now, the Turtles must combat throughout the streets and sewers of New York, then to assault Shredder's Technodrome, and then begin a battle through the past and future, and in the present to defeat Shredder and go home. Turtles in Time is a beat-em-up side-scrolling game in which is played with 4 players in the arcades, while on the Super NES version, only 2 can play. Players can choose to play as 1 out of 4 of their favorite Turtles, and to make things more fun, you can play in co-op, with family, and friends if you like. The Turtles fight by unleashing power attacks by hitting enemies several times in a row. Also, they can slam the foot soldiers into surrounding enemies and even throw them out the playing field into the screen, which is awesome. The Turtles can recover energy with pizza boxes, and when taking them they say, "Pizza time." A box of pizza which has a bomb on it gives the Turtles the ability to unleash a whirlwind-like attack, which lasts for about 10 seconds. Players can ride on pods in the stage Neon Knight Riders, which looks great. Players fight against bosses from both the 1987 cartoon and also Tokka and Razor from the live-action film Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: The Secret of the Ooze. Players go through a limit of 10 different levels starting in the streets and sewers of New York City. Then a first confrontation with Shredder. After Shredder is defeated for the first time, the next stages represents various eras of world history. After time traveling, they confront the Super Shredder at the Technodrome, and a better ending is achieved if played on a harder difficulty. The game has enhanced graphics unlike the 8-bit games. In this game, players can change the look of the Turtles from their cartoon look to their comic book looks. The Super NES version was tied with the 3 previous games from the NES, while the arcades had a distant approach. While the Super NES version misses some of the aspects of the arcades, the game features a Mode 7 graphics theme in the stage, Neon Knight Riders. 5 new bosses were added: Slash, the Rat King, Battle Tank Shredder, Bebop and Rocksteady, and so on. Even Sega got into the action with a game titled The Hyperstone Heist, heavily based on Turtles in Time. The gameplay is the same as the former, but in this one, players have the ability to dash. Unfortunately, players can no longer throw their enemies. In 1994, Tournament Fighters was released. This is the first Ninja Turtles game to be released as a fighting game. It had 3 versions: the NES, the Super NES, and the Sega Genesis. All 3 have story modes, but each version is different. The NES version you can play as the Turtles as well as Hothead. In the Sega Genesis version you can play as April O'Neil, Casey Jones, Ray Fillet, and Sisyphus. In the Super NES version, you play as characters from the Adventures and Archie comics such as Wingnut, Armagon, and War. From the cartoons, you play as Chrome Dome. An original female character in the game is called Asuka. However, the American version had censored some of her features such as her clothing and her pose. This could be because some parents might be offended or because she was too sexualized for younger audiences. In this day and age, people would just go, "Ree!" But it is also because Nintendo of America is very strict in terms of adding family-friendly content. But still, Asuka in the Super NES version and April O'Neil in the Sega Genesis being playable were good additions for some female representation and empowerment in the game. The bosses in the Super NES game are the Rat King and Shredder's adoptive daughter, Karai. An MS-DOS game was released in 1991 titled Manhattan Missions. This game was more darker and mature unlike previous games. It was more closer to that of the Mirage comics and the movies. The goal of the game is to complete a number of missions consisting of levels divided into screens, culminating in the final battle with the Shredder. The gameplay is similar to the original Prince of Persia, as characters switch between free movement and melee fighting stances in a two-dimensional platformer environment. In between missions, the turtles can rest, regaining lost hit points, but the player only has a limited amount of time in which to find a Shredder. The game is designed to be played with a keyboard and utilizes a key to switch between walking and fighting modes. Each turtle has the ability to arm and withdraw his weapon. Each turtle wields his signature weapon and a number of shurikens as well. Holding the enter key makes the turtles attack, and the spacebar is used to block enemy attacks, on which arrow key is held.